So I anchored a program this Valentine and I observed something. The ladies were saying men of these days aren't intentional. Why do they expect us to teach them how to treat us? While the men were saying ladies of these days do not talk. How do they expect us to know how to treat them if they're not talking? So you see the confusion. While the ladies aren't talking, the men aren't moving. Hello, I'm Grace Renner. You're welcome to Finding Love, where we build healthy and lasting relationships and marriages rooted in God's design for marriage. Now, for the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about expectations in marriage. For today, I will define what expectations are and list out the types of expectations that we have. Now, our anchor scripture is Amos chapter 3, verse 3. Can two work together except they be agreed? Now, when we come back from this break, we're going to start talking about it. So, do subscribe to this channel, share this video so that more people can see it, like it, leave me a comment, and I'll be glad to see your comment. Hello there. You're welcome to Finding Love with Grace Renner. The vision is simple: help you build healthy and lasting relationships and marriages. So feel free to join the movement by subscribing, liking, sharing, and leaving me a comment. Thank you. Welcome back. So today I said we'll be talking about expectations in marriage. We'll get to know what expectations are and some types of expectations that we have. So let's get right into it. So I have here that expectations are mental pictures of what you believe should happen, silent agreement you assume the other person understands, or standards you hold someone to whether they agreed or not. Now, expectations are premeditated disappointments when unspoken or unrealistic. Now, let's talk about types of expectations. Number one type of expectation is realistic versus unrealistic expectations. Now, realistic expectations require mutual effort, they're grounded in reality, and they're flexible. While unrealistic expectations are fantasy driven, rigid, often influenced by movies or social media. Let me give you some examples. Now, realistic expectations will say, my spouse will try to understand me. While unrealistic expectation will say, my spouse should understand me whether I explain myself or not. Can you see the difference? My spouse will try to understand me. My spouse should understand me whether I explain myself or not. Now, let me give you another example of realistic and unrealistic expectations. For example, realistic expectations. My spouse and I will make conscious effort to resolve our issues. Unrealistic expectation says, my spouse and I will never have issues. Do you see the difference? Now, unrealistic expectations sees reality as the problem. So for a person who believes that their spouse and them will never have issues, when they begin to have issues in their marriage, what they will say is, oh, I have a bad marriage, oh, I have a bad marriage, as opposed to we have a healthy marriage, we have healthy conflicts, and we are consciously making effort. Both parties are working together to see that the marriage works. You see both mindsets. Unrealistic expectation sees reality as the problem, while realistic rather sees reality as something to be worked on, sees it as it is, and sees it as with mutual effort we will work it out. Number two type of expectations are spoken versus unspoken expectations. Now, spoken expectations are agreed upon, discussed, clarified. Now, unspoken expectations are not agreed upon, not spoken about, assumed, imagined, and could be dangerous. Now, unspoken expectations are preloaded disappointments. I remember in the early stages of my marriage, my husband and I would have issues because of unspoken expectations. Now, he for one would always assume that I should already know. You say some things come naturally. You should know. And of course, no, sir, I don't know. You have to tell me. With so much running in my brain, you have to tell me. So, but as we grew to understand each other, we started speaking more, we started communicating expectations more. And I just started to, like you would say, do some things naturally. But then I still ask questions. Well, would I say he has changed? Very well to an extent. But what I have also changed. Two things I have done is I ask questions more, and I have sort of started to do things naturally. Like he would always suggest, oh, some things should, come naturally. So yes, now I do some things naturally, and I've gotten to understand him a bit. Okay, so it's been compromise on both ends. Number three type of expectations are conscious versus subconscious expectations. Now, for conscious expectations, you are aware of them. For subconscious expectations, you're not aware of them. They are shaped by childhood, by past experiences, by traumas. All right. Now, for example, someone who was raised by parents who, gave each other money as a show of love will get into marriage expecting their spouse to always give them money as a show of love. I mean, there are many other examples, but you get what I mean. It's when it's conscious, you're aware of it. When you're not conscious of it, when it's subconscious rather, you are not aware of it. It's shaped by your childhood, your traumas, your past, what you've seen, what you've come to understand that life is. Number four type of expectations are role-based expectations, where you say things like a husband should, a man should, as a wife you should, as a husband you should. And these are mostly shaped by, culture, religious influences, and family experiences. And if you remember the example I started with, oh, the men are saying the ladies should explain to them what they need, what they expect from them, while the ladies are saying the men are supposed to know. As a man, you should know. And it's not always like that. Okay, let me share a personal example. This one is quite interesting. Let me try and cast my husband a little. Well, who else would I use, for example, if not myself or my husband, right? So I remember for like the first 5 years of our marriage, I struggled with something. My husband expected me to be like his mom. Now, his mom used to be a domestic staff, and his father fell in love with her. But she never stopped doing those domestic chores, like she was still a domestic staff. So when I met my husband, he wanted, he had a picture of what a wife should be, and that was what his mom was. Growing up, I didn't grow up like that. I had seven siblings. We all shared the work. I did the one that my strengths could carry. And also as the last girl, so most of the lighter work were given to me, or lighter works rather were given to me. So I wasn't used to doing strenuous work. So we who have house helps in the house. I mean, for the first 5 years of marriage, of course, we had house helps. But my husband still had this joy, this fulfillment, seeing me get hands on and all of that. I could see that he enjoyed it, he liked it. For him, that was what a wife represented. And it was a struggle for me. And to be honest, I started to get into performance mode. I started to become performative. But after some years, I saw it wasn't working. And one day we sat down, we talked about it. In fact, when I talked about it, that was when he realized that this was his mindset. He had to trace it down to his mom and say, oh, this was it. My mom was like this and this and this. So somehow I just, formed that expectation. I just felt this is how a wife should be, hands on, this, that, regardless of the helper in the house. But I had a different mindset. So we had to meet in the middle. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'm living the soft girl life now. Of course, I like to get hands on and all of that, but not as much as I used to do. I use my time now for things like this, to focus on my ministry, to direct the house assistant, of course, to pour my energy into my children and all of that. So I love the balance now. We're all happy, everyone is happy. Now, why am I saying all of this? When you're cutting someone, that is the best time to talk about what works for you, what you can do, what you can't do. Talk about your expectations. Because the truth is, a lot of marriages are failing because of expectations. Not because the marriage is bad, but unspoken expectations, some unrealistic expectations and things like that. So that is the best time to talk about it. Now, I'll leave you with these few words. When roles are assumed instead of agreed upon, conflicts are inevitable. Now, when you're cutting someone, roles should be thoroughly discussed, expectations should be thoroughly discussed. Let everyone know what they're capable of, what is possible, what is feasible, to avoid resentments in marriage. Look at what the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 12. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. It will make it very easy for you. Unmet expectations make the heart sick. All right, I know you've learned something today. I'll leave you for now. Next week, we'll talk about other aspects of expectations. So do stay with me. I'll be here again with you next week, Thursday. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'll be happy to see your comments. Bye for now.